ladies and gentlemen. Today is Friday, 19th of April 2024. This is the Voice of Turkey's English language transmission, broadcasting from Ankara in the 16-meter band between 1230 and 1330 UTC on 1726 to 0 kHz to Europe. You can listen to us over the Turksat 3A and 4A satellites and on the internet at www.trtdinnet.com through Radio's link and under the Vote Radio's expandable section. Our email address is englishdesk@trt.net.tr. Following the news and the review of the Turkish press, the Voice of Turkey will present our feature programs, weekly analysis, Turkish folktales, That's Why, followed by some Turkish music. Before we begin, let's have a quick look at the headlines. Nothing in the Iran-Israel conflict is surprising, Erdogan says. Greece won't back down from marine park plans, Greek Prime Minister notes. U.S. vetoes Palestine's bid for full UN membership, and U.S. officials confirm Israel carried out strike inside Iran. And now details of the news. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, touching on the Iran-Israel tensions, said, quote-unquote, so far there is no surprising statement from either side. President Erdogan answered journalists' questions in Istanbul after Friday prayers in a mosque. Regarding the Israel-Iran tensions, Erdogan said, quote-unquote, Israel and Iran are putting forward different views. There is no claim of responsibility for attacks on Iran from the Israeli side, and there is really no statement that is beyond belief about the matter. When you consider Iran's statements, you cannot say that they are true statements. You cannot also trust Israel to report the facts. The Israeli side is pushing the U.S. to make a statement about their own attacks in Iran. Erdogan also mentioned that the U.S. is already taking a pro-Israel stance. The Iranian media published reports of explosions in the northeast of Isfahan province, which hosts an Iranian Air Force base. Flights from the capital Tehran, Isfahan, Shiraz and some other regions of Iran were suspended following these reports. The American media had reported that Israel carried out an attack on Iranian territories. Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis said they will not back down from their plans of establishing marine parks in the Ionian and Aegean seas, despite Turkey's strong reaction. Mitsotakis spoke to reporters after the European Union summit in Brussels. When asked about the issue and Turkey's reaction, the Greek premier said, quote-unquote, I am also surprised by Turkey's excuseless response towards an initiative that takes into account environmental concerns. As promised at the Our Oceans Conference in Athens, Greece will build these marine parks. The recent rapprochement between the two nations has not changed Turkey's position on the sovereignty issues in the Aegean and Mediterranean seas, said Mitsotakis, adding that this constitutes a problem for his country. The Greek premier said, quote-unquote, still, this should not prevent us from investing more in a positive agenda instead of issues that drive us apart. Turkey has harshly reacted against the Greek Foreign Ministry's plans to build two marine parks, one in the Aegean Sea and the other in the Ionian Sea. A statement by the Turkish Foreign Ministry on 9th of April said, quote-unquote, we recommend Greece not to involve the outstanding Aegean issues and the issues regarding the status of some islands, islets and rocks whose sovereignty has not been ceded to Greece by international treaties within the frame of its own agenda. The U.S. vetoed the UN Security Council draft resolution Thursday demanding Palestine's full membership in the United Nations. The 15-member council gathered in New York to vote on a draft resolution authored by Algeria recommending the admission of the State of Palestine for UN membership. The membership was blocked with 12 votes in favor and 2 abstentions, including the UK and Switzerland. Before the voting, Algeria's envoy to the UN, Amar Ben-Jama, said it is time for Palestine to take its rightful place among the community of nations, and seeking UN membership is a fundamental expression of Palestinian self-determination. Palestine was accepted as an observer state of the UN General Assembly in 2012, allowing its envoy to participate in debates and UN organizations, but without a vote. States are admitted to membership in the UN by a decision of the General Assembly upon the recommendation of the Security Council, according to the UN Charter. A Council resolution needs at least 9 votes in favor and no vetoes by the permanent members, US, Britain, France, Russia or China, to pass. In a statement on 2nd of April, Palestine's permanent representative to the UN, Riyad Mansour, sent a letter to UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and requested that their membership applications be considered. Guterres also wrote a letter to the UN Security Council on 3rd of April, calling for Palestine's request to be put on the agenda. The Security Council forwarded Palestine's request to the Committee for the Admission of New Members on 8th of April. The committee, which was supposed to return to the Council regarding membership, announced that it could not reach an agreement after 2 meetings. Algeria then opened the draft resolution for Palestine's membership to negotiations. The news continues on the English language broadcast of the Voice of Turkey. Israel has carried out a strike inside of Iran, multiple American media outlets reported Thursday, citing anonymous U.S. officials in a move that threatens to further push the region towards war. None of the reports identified the targets, but the attack comes in response to Iran's unprecedented drone and missile attack on Israel over the weekend. Nearly all of Iran's missiles and drones were intercepted by Israel, the U.S. and its regional allies. Anonymous U.S. officials told CBS News and ABC News that Israel used ballistic missiles to hit Iran. Iran's official state TV confirmed massive explosions in central Isfahan province and said no nuclear facilities were affected or targeted in the central Iranian city. The semi-official Mehr news agency reported that 3 drones were destroyed in the skies above Isfahan province. The Israeli military has not commented on the reported attack yet, but it said a security meeting is currently underway at Israel's defense ministry in Tel Aviv. A U.S. official who spoke to CNN said Washington did not green-light Israel's attack. Quote, unquote, "We didn't endorse the response," an official said. The official acknowledged that Israel had informed the U.S. on Thursday that it would be carrying out a strike against Iran in the coming days. Delegations from the U.S. and Israel held a virtual meeting Thursday to discuss soaring tensions between Tel Aviv and Iran, as well as Israel's vowed military action on the southern Gaza city of Rafah. The bulk of the White House's readout of the call focused on Iran just hours after a spokesperson said the teams would largely discuss Rafah. Quote, unquote, "The main purpose really is to talk about Rafah and to continue to have a conversation with the Israelis about their intentions and to also share our continued concerns over a major ground offensive there," National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby told reporters aboard Air Force One in response to a question about whether the teams would discuss Israel's expected reprisal on Iran. The official White House readout of the meeting said it began, quote unquote, in a small group format to discuss the Iran attack and the collective efforts to further enhance Israel's defense through advanced capabilities as well as cooperation with a broad coalition of military partners. Quote unquote, the 2 sides then broadened it to include interagency delegations to discuss Rafah. The 2 sides agreed on the shared objective to see Hamas defeated in Rafah, it said in a statement. An Israeli government spokesperson said earlier Thursday that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has set a date for beginning the invasion of Rafah. Kenya's Chief of General Staff Francis Ogola and 10 military personnel reportedly lost their lives in a helicopter crash in Kenya. The presidency of the state, in a statement, said Chief of Staff Ogola and 10 military personnel died in the accident, while 2 soldiers survived with injuries. At a press conference, President William Ruto stated that the helicopter crashed shortly after taking off and also expressed their condolences for the deceased. Noting that the accident occurred at 14:20 local time Thursday, Ruto said the Air Force sent an air investigation team to determine the cause. President Ruto declared 3 days of national mourning across the country. India, with a population of 1.441 billion, is reported to be the world's most populous country. The United Nations Population Fund published its State of the World Population Report 2024 under the title Interwoven Lives, Threads of Hope, Ending Inequalities in Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights. This year's report highlighted the growing inequalities in sexual and reproductive health around the world. Accordingly, women in Africa are 130 times more likely to die from complications related to pregnancy and childbirth than women in Europe or North America, while women of African descent in the Americas are more likely to die in childbirth. The report stated that the world population has reached 8.1 billion, while India's population is 1.4 billion. It also noted that the improvement in the socioeconomic situation and the decrease in maternal mortality played a role in India's overtaking China, which has a population of 1,425 million. The UN's data also showed that China's population started to decline after reaching 1,426 million in 2022. Experts predict that China's population will fall below 1 billion by the end of this century. And that was the news brought to you by the Voice of Turkey.